Hi, everyone. So for those of you I don't know, my name is Ryan Smith from the Tufts Career Center, and we're talking today about how to manage your time and manage your job search. So what we'll do, since we are recording this for our YouTube channel, you can turn off your video and go to mute for now. Any questions you have during the presentation, if you just want to pop those into the chat feature, I will be sure to wrap those up at the end during our Q&A. So for our agenda today, I just wanted to do kind of a welcome and a check-in, get a sense of what you all are feeling with the job search, obviously with all of the challenges that have been presented to us in the past year, and kind of as we're getting through the clearing of that, making sure that you feel comfortable to find access to opportunity. You know how best to utilize the resources of the Tufts Career Center and can find what you're looking for. So we'll go over some of the key resources, the top 5 tools I use to stay organized in a job search that I share with students, make sure you're aware of upcoming events, and then I definitely want to leave some time to Q&A any questions that you have about the job search, about the presentation, and that. So diving right in, if we could just go to the chat function and enter any kind of things right now that are preventing you from finding opportunities, or if you're feeling stuck, what are the things that are having you feel stuck in your search? What are some of the stumbling blocks? So if you guys wanted to pop just anything that comes to mind, maybe it's you're not sure where to start, you're feeling a little overwhelmed, it's the how do you manage everything, and stay motivated and connected and manage your time. All right, so not sure where to start, where to look up, how to find entry-level job openings that aren't internships, feeling a bit underqualified or lack of experience. Okay, so these are all good, and I feel like we'll be able to cover a lot of that as we move through the presentation and connect in the end. And cover letters is another good function, so we can talk about that. Very important part of the job search. All right, so I want to dive in to just make sure that you're aware of what resources exist for you. The whole job search function is really about how are you building your network. Yes, there's applications that you'll see on Handshake or opportunities for you to apply for on Handshake, and you'll see positions you want to go for. One of the best things you can do is really start to think first about who are the people in your neighborhood that can help you out. Who are the resources that have access to the jobs, have the insider information? How can you kind of find the backstory beyond the posting? Because the blessing and curse of the internet right now is having all of this access to job posting sites and seeing more things available. More people have that access. So as you present yourself as a candidate, you want to think about how you're managing your time to kind of do a mix of all the engagement with engagement with these different resources. So starting off with the Tufts Career Center, making sure that you're scheduling regular advising appointments. You can schedule those advising appointments with me, as I'm the point person for arts, communications, and media opportunities. However, any of our team members are able to help. So if you feel like you can't get in to see me or get in on my schedule, connect via email, but also just make sure you know that anyone in our office can help you. So definitely just reach out. In addition to regular advising to kind of walk through the process and what your game plan has been for finding opportunities, Handshake should definitely be your home base for finding opportunities, from internships to, we've even had a program right when everything went virtual starting in March called Jumbos for Jumbos. So these are sort of freelance or part-time gigs with a short-term ending to them, so that you can work on projects as you're kind of progressing. And I definitely want to be clear that there are tons of opportunities being posted on Handshake. We're starting to see more come in, and there are definitely opportunities that are might start virtual and then perhaps could change. So as I've been telling all the students I'm seeing in advising appointments, now's the time to do all of the networking do the research on companies and organizations, postings, professional associations, and get those applications out for, several locations, whether it's virtual or looks like it might be in person in the future. Just stack the deck with those applications so that you can continue to get, you have more to kind of work with when everything opens back up. Tons of events are happening in the spring semester, and I will do a recap of some of the events coming up that we have on deck. For the fall, for example, we also had the career trip that I know some of you attended, which was a great way to do networking, to hear from experts in different industry sectors within arts, communications, and media, and to really kind of get a sense of what's happening and what's going on. So when you see these events from the Career Center, there's no perfect time to kind of schedule that event. So you may not be able to make all of them, but like today, a lot of the things we do, we are trying to record. So if you can't make the event, just reach out to us so we know that it is A, something you're interested in, and B, we can make sure you get the info that you need. Also, one amazing resource that we just started this year is The Herd. The Herd is a software platform called People Grove. On that platform, over 2,500 Tufts alumni have created profiles, and they're waiting for you to reach out and engage with them and ask them, general information about career advice, have career conversations, talk about their roles, how they've, mistakes that they've learned from, and things that they may have to help you feel connected to the sector you're looking to go into. And even if you're not at the point where, maybe you've just had a first internship or internship and you're just starting out, that is the perfect time to start having these conversations, because you can then be more aware of how to engage with opportunities that are out there, find other resources, and keep networking. So you also want to think, of course, about the broader Tufts community, engaging with faculty like Leslie Goldberg, FMS newsletters below that, but also Leslie and the team always put together a great newsletter of opportunities. So that's something you should definitely keep on your radar. Engaging with alumni, of course, at events, alumni that come back to campus in any capacity, utilizing the Herd and LinkedIn, and really think about your peers. So not just your peers at Tufts University and where they've interned, but students at other schools that you're connected with, maybe friends from high school that have done something similar, or have friends that are doing, more in the film and entertainment or arts and communications area that you're interested in as well. And then definitely taking advantage of the student orgs. If your student org here at Tufts is part of a national chapter, how can you partner and do some virtual networking with other chapters of that organization at different schools? A lot of students are in kind of the same boat as they're starting their careers. So it's definitely worthwhile to think about how you can engage with people at, beyond sort of your Tufts community and your Tufts bubble. Diving into the company. So it's not just going to the company's website. Make sure that you're following them on social media. And of course, keeping your own social media pages professional when you engage with employers. Definitely utilizing LinkedIn. The company page for LinkedIn, Annapurna Pictures, for example, posted their internships on their LinkedIn page, and it wasn't up for very long, and the turnaround was very quick. So I was able to share that with other students because it was an organization that I follow. And it really helps filter your feed on LinkedIn so that you're able to connect and find opportunities. And then looking at what companies are doing events. Our events tab in Handshake has so many organizations doing all kinds of presentations and info sessions for students to help them feel connected and understand that there are still opportunities happening. Obviously using other job sites like Indeed, LinkedIn, and then industry specific sites. So those sites may be monitored or kind of led through professional associations like American Marketing Association or Chicago Interactive Marketing Association. Any of those professional associations will have industry specific details, so you can kind of stay in, not necessarily directly to a job lead, but it may help you find more professionals you can reach out to. There may be some leads about current trends. So it's telling you that a new city, maybe it's Austin, is a hotbed for podcast activity, and there's definitely opportunities there. Or it's new initiatives with a city that's rapidly growing, like Raleigh, North Carolina, or something like that. So when you kind of expand your base, you can look at your job search from a different perspective and engage a whole new list of reinforcements to kind of help you find those opportunities. Professional associations, again, are such a good way for students to to engage with professionals doing the work. People who are volunteering their time to be part of professional associations also really want to give back to kind of their community. They want to network, and all of them were students at some point. And we all remember what it was like being a college student, finding the internships, graduating, and all the various forms of, the unknown that comes with what's happening after graduation. So utilizing a professional association will be great to kind of, again, keep you current on industry trends, meet more professionals who do the work that you want to be doing. More often than not, professional associations on their websites have student pages. A lot of times they'll do virtual career fairs or networking events, info sessions about specific job roles, titles, companies that they highlight. So I can't recommend doing some exploration of professional associations enough. And then I always make the joke with students too, when you return home for the holidays or you engage with family members, there's always that relative, maybe it's your own parents who really are kind of pushing you or on you to find those opportunities. Their network is so much broader than yours. So don't hesitate to utilize them as a contact. They may have someone in their HR office whose son or daughter is at a university doing an internship in film and entertainment or at PR and marketing. So don't hesitate to create that opportunity for networking there. They do have your best interests at heart, of course, and so they want to see you succeed. So even just humoring them with that conversation can really kind of tee up some ways for you to find other contacts and stay motivated in your search. All right, so moving along. So again, a lot of information, a lot of ways that you can stay connected. So I have kind of broken down a process for students to think about their top 5 tools to manage the search. So one of the biggest things I'm hearing from students, and as you were mentioning in the chat, is all this information's coming at me. Where do I start? I feel like I maybe don't have the right experience. There's a lot of second guessing that can come when you're just seeing a job posting on a website, even one that's on Handshake. So the advantage with Handshake, employers want to recruit tough students. So you have that, working for you. But then it's, how do you go beyond that application and how do you engage? So incorporating time to do that networking, and really the key thing here is time management. So I really want to dive into that now. So it's broken down into these pieces, and we'll kind of dive into each. And then again, like I said, we will definitely have time to kind of walk through different pieces, questions about any of the resources like the HERD or the new career site, careers.tufts.edu, once we go through. So let's dive in first to the Brainstorm parking lot. And I know the font's a little small here, so I'm going to zoom in. So this is really, and just to point out, I decided to use Google Docs and Google Sheets so that you could create a Google folder on your drive. What I love about that is that you always have access to it. Everyone has their own, organizational style or sometimes misorganization, but you can think about what works best for you off of these tips. I find that using the Google Docs and Sheets in a Google folder, you always have access to that from your phone or your iPad or your laptop, or when you're more active and moving about and on the go, being able to access stuff on Google Drive definitely saves time. So the Brainstorm parking lot this is a really good place to kind of park those ideas that, the leads that you're generating. You're getting information from different, you're getting information from your peers, from faculty, you're seeing job postings, you're finding new sites and things like that. So just having kind of a parking space where all these ideas can live. So you have something to go back to as the info's coming in. You can pull it from, your Tufts email, your Gmail, wherever, and you can pop those leads here. When you're feeling stuck in your search, you can come back to this document and kind of help fill in these other working documents that'll help you manage your search. So I filled out one just to kind of give you some general ideas and resources, knowing that we have a mixed group as far as interests. I try to cover a couple different areas. So obviously Handshake should be, definitely where you start, but it is absolutely not the only opportunity. Hollylist.com is a good one, Mandy.com, Backstage.com. Highlighting some of the organizations that you're interested in, or maybe it's a new one that you've heard about on your way back from class. So you pop that into this Google Drive folder so you can come back to it when you're planning your search and figuring out how do you incorporate that into your search schedule. Thinking about the job titles that sound appealing so you can do more research. Developing a list of alumni names that you want to engage with. What are the professional associations that make sense for you? What trade journals and magazines, whether they be online or hard copy, so Variety, Ad Age, Backstage, American Theater, any of these journals are industry specific and they're talking about current trends, what companies are doing well, what companies are starting up, what are some of the challenges, what is the cultural climate, how are these employers that you're interested in dealing with important issues of today like diversity, equity, and inclusion. Also, thinking about other tools like podcasts and blogs, a lot of these like Variety Strictly Business can really highlight ways for you to just think about the industry from a different perspective. This is a lot of maintenance on top of all you're doing with school, extracurriculars, and then just, enjoying your last semester as a college student if you're graduating, or trying to enjoy your first semester as a college student and starting to think about the big picture. I also say, it is a weird time right now with the pandemic, but it's important to think broadly and stack that deck of opportunity. So if you see a new city that you hadn't thought about before, what are their resources for career opportunities for you? How can you engage with professionals there? What different job sites do they have where they may have postings or professional associations, or ways for you to engage? All right, so again, this is a general parking space. You could easily pop it into Sheets, Google Sheets, and organize it that way. Again, this just kind of shows you an overview. All the information that's coming to you, let's put it here first, and then you can figure out how you're going to reach out to that alum and kind of put everything into play. All right, so let's move to the contacts log. So I just did a really simple example just to have the visual for you. I've described it verbally to students, but I always think a visual helps. So I've taken a Google Sheet doc and just, we're all sick of looking at spreadsheets probably and that. So just to rev it up with some color, chose a header color, and then the date, who you're talking to, their title and company, any information you may have about them, their email, contact info, and what notes about that interaction. So when you have that entry, was it a call where you did an info interview? Is it somebody that you talked with? Track every interaction you're having that's going to help you for your search. So a contact isn't just, Jane Smith at Variety or Ted Smith at Netflix. It can be your classmates. It can be a faculty member you've been working with, like Leslie. It can be myself in the Career Center. If we've been doing regular advising, you can have entries from me here and have notes around our conversation. So I always tell students, I try to wrap advising appointments with action items, and you should think about that for the career conversations you're having. Sometimes it's an open conversation, you have to revisit and do some follow-up, but what are the action items that you can do? Always following up and maintaining contact with people who have helped you out, former internship supervisors, current supervisors, maybe it's someone within a student organization, whoever it is, they can live here and you can keep notes on them. And if you see at the bottom, I've kept a breakdown of broke it down into tabs rather by months. So all the contacts can kind of live in one space. And I'm doing this right now from the perspective of just for the wrap of the school year into summer. You can tailor these again as would make sense for you. So the same way that you're doing the contact log, I would just repeat that with an applications log. Have the date you applied, the title, company and location, where you found the opportunity, including the link if you want, that you applied, if there's any follow-up, if there's other point people there. So again, this is specific to a direct application for a position. So I feel like that's pretty straightforward, but it's set up with the tabs by month too. And then now let's kind of, the next step would really be building that schedule, but I want to come back to that. As you're planning your job search, given all the things that you all are doing as students, it's so important to not just be trapped into looking at, okay, these are the things I need to do this semester, and have a big kind of list of goals that aren't organized or with deadlines or, kind of broken into SMART goal steps and pieces for you to manage all the work that goes into getting those applications out, finding opportunity. So what I guide students to do is build a dashboard. So this is just a rough kind of breakdown, and we can talk now about what would go into these pockets. So the dashboard is really to keep tabs on the big picture of what is due when during the semester. So if between February and March, a lot of summer internships will have deadlines. So right here, you could put, Viacom CBS, summer internship deadline, February 15th, Warner Media, internship deadline, February 10th. And it just kind of gives you a big picture overview. It's kind of like mile markers on a highway as you're driving. How much further do I have? How can I move stuff around and prioritize it? So that's your class assignments, anything you're working on that's related to school. Personal commitments that, we're not talking like a dentist appointment, but more from the perspective of a project that's due, or a lot of you are so engaged in the campus community. So with that comes productions and getting, reels to people on time and submitting articles for the daily and that. So it's more from that perspective. So you can see in these chunks of time, how is everything laid out, and keeping on your dashboard what's due and expected of you to get those things in. So this is, I feel like, pretty straightforward. We can come back to it if there's questions too. So usually what I tell students, if you're looking for an opportunity, you should be searching a semester ahead. That's specifically the case for internships. Now, as you're graduating, the time's kind of condensed for spring semester. So I've kind of focused what I've written down as just like pockets for how seniors might handle spring semester, especially our unique spring semester this year. So February to March is going to absolutely be go time for how are you getting those applications out, networking with people, really maintaining an eye on everything, because before you know it, we're going to be into March with the spring break Friday, and a lot of deadlines will close by then. Now, if you're looking for more full-time opportunities, that's kind of when that might activate too. You'll start to see about a month out from graduation. Some recruiting timelines are definitely kind of all over. It depends on industry and sector, but I think it's just good to be aware what part of the semester you should use for kind of that research and doing the homework, and then what part you should dive in and really be active. So if we talk about summer goals as well, this would be a good time while you're interning. All right, how am I going to make the most out of this internship? What's going to be on deck for the next school year for me? So you're not necessarily committing to all of these things, but it's keeping the dashboard going so that you can see what lies ahead for you. And some of it may shift. It may be grad school applications is what you're thinking for next year, but then you may have a change of heart and decide you want to pursue full-time employment. So some of these mile markers on the dashboard are going to shift a little, and that's okay. But let's dive into the sample schedule. For that, I created just kind of a breakdown of some idea with Google Sheets. I think there's a million ways you can do this and use whatever calendar you feel comfortable with. So I've kind of broken this down out 2 weeks at a time. And the goal here is, we can pepper some things in as we talk and as we kind of wrap the presentation too. You really want to think about not getting trapped in looking at what's due today or what's due this week or even within the month. So you have the dashboard for kind of the big picture for the rest of the semester, and as it looks for the next school year, or your future as you're entering the workforce. So what the 2-week schedule does, add in all your non-negotiables. So put in your class schedule, when you have classes, when you have student work commitments, sports practice of any kind, meetings with organizations that you're a part of, anything that you have a commitment to and it's the structure of it isn't going to shift. You really want to look at how you're maximizing the business hours of the day. So when I say the business hours of the day, I'm talking predominantly like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. During those business hours, you want to think about how can I get connected to alumni? How can I be doing informational interviews? How can I be scheduling career advising appointments, meeting with faculty? And now it's mostly virtual, but that can definitely shift. And when it's in person, this can be, grabbing a coffee with a peer or a friend from another school, a friend of a friend from another school, say BU, who interned with NBC, and you want to get feedback about how their summer internship went. So it's incorporating time when it's with working professionals within that 8 to 5. So if you're on Monday, I just teed in one class. So they have a block of classes from 11 to 4 on Monday. So a good chunk of Monday and the business hours is, not really freed up for them. But waking up earlier, maximizing that Monday to get some emails out for the week so that any of the open spots, Monday through Friday, where you can be engaging with alum, tough staff members, faculty, and career advisors, fellow students in that, you can fill those time slots of open blocks with more of building the connection, having interaction with people who can help you. Because if you utilize, let's say Tuesday, there's no classes, except maybe at 6 p.m. on Tuesdays, there's a whole day at your disposal to use. Now, yes, you are completing assignments, and you have to do that at different times. You may also be interning part-time. So it's looking at what realistically can I do within the schedule with these blocks of free times that I have. Always try to get some kind of, normally I would say in-person interaction, but it can be a phone call, a Zoom, a Google Hangout, whatever works to make those connections happen so that more people are knowing about the types of opportunities you want to go for. Obviously, soon these will fill up with interview slots and things like that. And then I want to kind of move to Saturday and Sunday. So as you've kind of built this schedule and you're kind of keep going at like looking at the 2 weeks and referring to the dashboard to see, if you're dropping or adding a class, when that has to happen, when midterms are, that kind of thing. That's all going to inform how you fill out these 2 week at a time schedules. So utilizing Saturday and Sunday, you have to do that piece, that research component too. So it's, how do I research the opportunities that are out there for me? So what day or evening am I going to use to find the opportunities that I'm going to execute applications for that week? Doing the research to find the contacts that you want to kind of fill in and reach out to kind of fill those vacant time slots on your schedule. The other most important component, after you've looked at what are your non-negotiables, you're finding the opportunities, you're having the conversations, you're leaving time to get the applications out, balancing that with schoolwork and personal commitments. It's also so important to kind of have some time for you and to get back to your wellness and to take a break in terms of searching, so that you definitely have downtime committed on your calendar, for streaming shows, engaging with your peers as you can, and just rounding that out. And why I really drive that point home is that if you don't come to your job search refreshed and don't give yourself time, you can't come at it with a clear head, and it's going to cause you to feel more overwhelmed. And sometimes it happens that we're able to kind of redirect the ship in a career advising conversation, or with a faculty member or another peer. Sometimes that's all it takes. So you do have to commit to this. Building these docs to get organized really doesn't take that much time, and there's not creating these documents to clarify is just an easy way to kind of capture the information. It's easy to build it. It's gonna populate over time. So don't create the document and feel like you have to like populate all the information immediately. A lot of that is going to come as you're working. And what you'll see is those days when you're feeling stuck and you don't feel like you can find an opportunity, you haven't heard back from some employers, maybe you're trying to engage with alum and not kind of, making those connections. You can go back to the Brainstorm parking lot, kind of see where everything, what is the job site that you forgot about? You were thinking at one point about Seattle as an opportunity. Maybe it's time to go back and research some opportunities there. So it's constantly shifting perspective to see what makes the most sense for where you're at and what's generating the most output for you. So building that schedule, putting in your non-negotiables, manage your time with something like this, that's kind of has more of an immediacy with every 2 weeks. And then looking at that dashboard for, what do the next couple months hold as you balance all of this. So that is an overview of those docs. I do want to jump in and highlight the upcoming events that we have. So we do have a social impact career fair on February 11th. Sorry, I'm going to go back a week. On the 4th, so next Thursday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., the Career Center has a resume drop-in. So it's all via Zoom. You'll see the information from the Tufts Career e-news. Anything you see that says Tufts Career Center, you should absolutely be opening that email or handshake. We don't spam you. We're only giving you important information to help you find opportunities. And it's a good source to kind of, help populate your schedule, populate the Brainstorm parking lot, and kind of get you more people that you can reach out to and ideas for applications for internships and full-time opportunities. So the resume drop-ins are February 4th from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., all via Zoom. On February 11th is the Social Impact Career Fair. The General Career Fair is on February 12th, the next day. In March, on March 23rd, we're partnering with Tufts University Marketing and Gail Bambrick's Branding Theory and Practice class to go over careers in university marketing. And when I say that, it's much broader than that because the professionals that work on the team here in university marketing communications are also going to talk about their roles, which would translate to many different work environments, as well as the diversity and experience of opportunities that they've had in the past and internships and things like that. So again, you hear one role or one area and while it's tied to the general idea of what you're going for, maybe it doesn't sound initially as appealing. However, there are still professionals there that may have a lead for you that you didn't necessarily think about initially. And then on April 16th, with the Association of Independent Colleges of Art and Design, we're partnering with about 15 schools so far, like Pratt and MassArt and California College of the Arts, to do a national multi-school career fair. And that will be open to all Tufts students from the classes of 2020, 2021, and 2022. We're still developing some of the pieces and fine tuning, so more on that will come. So roles like this would definitely be in animation, production, video. I think there's a lot that, especially students in the FMS area, a lot of you with crossover to comp sci as well, would definitely get a lot out of this fair. And I can, again, talk more in depth about that as we have info. We are trying to do another opportunity to engage with arts common media employers in the spring. We're trying out a couple ideas, so there'll be more to come. That would be between somewhere between the university marketing event and the event on the ACAD Career Fair. We are just about wrapped up confirming another really great opportunity for our diverse student population called the MAPE program, and that is through 4A's, which is the American Association of Advertising Agencies. They do this really incredible multicultural advertising internship program. So the process for the summer internship program this year has already passed. So they're working with their candidates already, but they're coming to promote the fall applications for the next summer. It's such a robust program because once you're selected in February through March and May, you get real live interaction with professionals in the advertising agency world in different roles. You get to hear their perspective, and then you're in a paid internship for the summer, and there's career fair opportunities, there's alumni network. It's just such an awesome organization. So I'm really excited that we can get them to engage with us. And it looks like it will be in April as well. We just have to verify a few dates and things. So definitely keep that on the radar. So that is what I have to kind of start some conversation for us. And I'm gonna stop sharing the screen now. And we'll look at the chat. And yeah, Leslie, if you wanted to jump in and highlight 2 other events, that would be great.
Yeah, hold on. I'm just trying to get my video. There we go. Well, you got one of them. One of them was MAPE.
Oh, great.
I was going to mention that. And then you wouldn't know about this. And we'll have a lot more publicity around this. We just picked a date for the how to find a summer internship in film and media that we usually do. And that is March 11th, and there'll be publicity around that. Sorry, Ryan, we literally just picked that date yesterday.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm happy to help out with that and promote as always.
So I think what we're going to do with this is a event that I usually run every semester. We're probably going to have 1 or 2 of my former interns who have done semester or summer long internships maybe speak for a couple minutes, and then I'll do my little spiel about how to find a summer internship and use the different resources that Film and Media Studies and Handshake and et cetera use. So that'll be March 11th, and there's more information forthcoming on that. So that was all I had to say.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And to the audience, if you don't want to use the chat and just want to raise your hand in the participant and jump in and chat, we can do that too. But now's the time for any questions you have. So chat, or you can just go ahead and speak, and we can see if we can come up with an answer for you.
Ryan, can I address one of the questions in here from the internship standpoint?
Yeah.
So, Amy, you said you feel a bit underqualified, lack of experience. And I know a lot of students feel that. And we have a mix here of students who are graduating seniors, as well as probably some first and second years. So one of the things I always like to emphasize is to use that. I mean, you guys are the internship cohort. Use that, put that internship on your resume at the top because you just completed it. So that should be your most recent experience. And I always encourage students to say something like, I mean, you can figure out the wording yourself, but something along the lines of selected via competitive application only, Tufts internship program. Because as I've said to you before, there were 32 interns selected out of almost 100 applicants. So even if this is your first experience I know some of you have had a lot of internships, but many of you have not. So if this is your first experience or your second experience with an internship, that internship, can go a long way to filling that, what you feel to be a gap on your resume. So I that's not the only way you can highlight experience, but certainly, it's a competitive program, and the fact that you were selected means, you had the goods. So leverage that.
Definitely. And what we can do in the Career Center too is work with you to talk about what you've done with different opportunities and how, a lot of times students will have work experience that they don't think translates directly to the role that they're going for. So it's all about transferable skills. And when we work in the Career Center, it's less about, placing you in an internship and then placing you in your first entry level position. It's more about how do you talk about what you offer an employer? How do you polish a resume and cover letter up? How do you get comfortable networking in that? So a couple things that came up, not sure where to start and what to look up. So I think diving into some of those resources that I highlighted at the beginning would be key. Making sure you're maximizing Handshake and using the, utilizing all of the events that are on Handshake. When you're searching for jobs and doing research on employers, I often tell students to search just by industry, so you can filter by the what industry the employer identifies with. So for them, it may be movies, TV, music. There's ad, PR, marketing, journalism, publishing, media, design. There's a lot of variance there. So you can select by industry that makes sense. Review what positions are in Handshake. You can also go into Handshake under employers, select an industry. Because there's so many employers in Handshake profile wise, I recommend selecting a city too. So if you had a strong lean to say ad, PR, and marketing, you could select that. Pick New York City if that's where you're thinking about. And then you'll see employer profiles. You can follow the employers just like you would on LinkedIn or social media. You can see reviews of students who have interned, either tough students or students from other universities who have interned at, say, CBS or NBC, and you can ask them about how their experience was and any feedback they might have, or if they're willing to connect you maybe with a former supervisor, to just learn more about the organization, do an informational interview in that. You also can see if that'll take you to the employer's website. You can also find if there's a contact in Handshake that's accessible to students. And once you follow them, they'll pop up on your dashboard too with relevant information around new postings or things of that nature. But that's why I just think it's so good to be following them on LinkedIn and social media as well as Handshake, because you can get a really good overview. Definitely take a look at the career fairs. Definitely take a look at one thing we can do too is kind of help you navigate if you're not sure how to approach an employer that maybe has a posting or they're saying that they're recruiting for one area. There could be a role for you within that organization in a different department, and navigating that through a career fair conversation is something we can help walk you through. So since there's not many other questions in the chat, so finding entry-level openings that aren't internships, that's a good one. I think, entry-level and internship is predominantly what you will see in Handshake because it's attached to a university, right? And while our alums utilize it, it's predominantly what is being posted is geared towards current students or those about to graduate or recent grads. Those professional association sites, following the companies on LinkedIn, really working to build your alumni network through the herd. And that, again, the herd has 2,500 alumni just sitting there waiting for you to reach out to them. So I would definitely start with those resources, to always start with Handshake to tee everything up, and then kind of go from there to find, utilizing LinkedIn to find where there's alum, contacting alum in the herd, talking with faculty. I can't tell you the amount of times I've sat in an appointment with a student or been on Zoom with a student in an advising appointment. We've discussed interests in a certain area. And then there's an article about an alum who does that comes through my desk or my inbox. there's a posting that shows up. Or as I'm doing searching to continue to help grow employers in this sector, students are able to find, we'll have a conversation and then I'll see a position or posting and try to engage that employer in some capacity. So they're definitely out there. I think the key thing is it's managing your time so that it's a mix of, all right, looking at your 2-week schedule, what alum have I talked to this week? Have I connected with any faculty in a while? When was my last career advising appointment? That's how you can kind of fill up that schedule. So you're doing interpersonal engagement to find those opportunities. You're doing the work to research organizations, alum, professionals in the field on your own. You're keeping up with industry trends through professional associations. All of those, like if you keep doing that mix, you should be able to continue to find more opportunity. But again, I'm only an email or an appointment away, so definitely make sure that you schedule with me and then go from there. So looking at, there was a question about cover letters. So I just want to, I'm going to share my screen again and just go to, I just want to take you all to our website. So for those of you that haven't seen it, this is another great opportunity. So we have a banner announcement here. Drop-ins, when you used to come in person to the Career Center, we're now doing them with an advisor and career fellows virtually. So you just pop into the Zoom, we put you into, you come into the waiting room and we put you with an advisor to kind of walk through. So if you have quick questions between the fellows and advisors, I happen to be covering the 12 to 2 on Fridays with our fellows. So that's definitely another good time to reach me should you have questions. We have a ticker of highlighted events here. We have career resources. This is one I want to just show you right away because it then has the Tufts Careers Guide for undergrad students. So in here is literally everything you need to know to get started. It's whether you're just beginning all of this or you're active in your search and just need a refresher. You can scroll through here. There's resume samples, there's cover letter samples. And I've done an appointment where we've just kind of talked through key samples for cover letters and what the magic is there. So I just wanted to point that out because there's a lot of good information in the resource guide there. I did see one more thing in the chat. Okay. And then you can schedule an appointment with an advisor right away. And this is one of my favorite new features. It's the career communities. So arts, communication, and media is the career community that I focus on. There's also subcategories. You can link with me right here to schedule an appointment. We highlight featured jobs through Handshake here. And then I've been nonstop talking about the herd to keep promoting it. And these are all examples of people that you can engage with through using the herd. Let's take me back there, sorry. So one other thing that I'm just starting this semester to maximize the heck out of is our sort of blog post option here. So I'm highlighting opportunities. There's a NPR Student Podcast Challenge. I just saw through Upright Citizens Brigade and SNL, they're doing a partnership diversity scholarship so that students of color can apply for this opportunity to take classes virtually, as well as put an audition package together for SNL. So I'm hopefully getting that posted this week. So again, industry trends, key highlights, you can see what's going on with people in the herd. You can see the jobs that are available. You can get general career resources. And then, so this is probably the best one for you, and I'll show the others. So these are just some other key resources that you can link to. A lot of them, like Mandy and Holly List, I mentioned already, Production Hub. And then you can, so you can find different opportunities per those subcategories, and then you can sign up for the herd. Oops, right here. just wanted to show you the landing page so you can get a sense of where you would go to fill out that profile. But any questions about those pieces, just let me know. And again, if we go a couple minutes over, that's fine by me. I just wanted to make sure that you guys saw the resources and how to engage. I know Leslie wanted to mention something else, but is there any other questions that you guys have right now that you wanted to share with the group to try to get an answer today? Well, definitely to reiterate, and I'll add this, I'll just add it into the chat so you have it again. You can find me on the general website, careers.tufts.edu. And then my email, again, is just ryan.smith@tufts.edu. And that's all I have, folks. Leslie, did you want to go ahead and add what you wanted to?
Yeah, if you don't mind, again, since I have my captive audience of Winterns, one of your fellow Winterns wrote me a lovely thank you note today. And I know at our orientation, I tell you all that you should write thank you notes to your Wintern supervisors. You certainly don't have to write me one. She did it because she wanted to, but I'm not looking for thank you notes. But it was a personalized, it was an email, but it was a personalized, you know, like the same way you would do an Evite, but it was a card. And it was thoughtful and detailed about what she had learned and what she enjoyed and, you know, et cetera. So again, you don't have to write me a thank you note. And I know you've heard this before about, you know, if you have an informational interview, certainly for your internships, anybody that you've come in contact with, any informational interview you do or job interview that you do, and I'm sure, Ryan, you say this to students all the time, you know, it meant a lot to me that that student took the time to write me a personal, you know, thank you note. And I didn't really do that much, you know, so the people that, you know, sponsored you for their internships definitely, you know, took a lot of time with you over the past few weeks. So do that. And then the other thing is, I don't know, Ryan, you might have said this and I missed it, but when you are networking with people, I always suggest to people, students, that you always ask, is there anyone else you know that I should talk to? And that's how you build your network. I mean, you might have said that. And if you did, I apologize.
Yeah, no, that's a great way, you know, because you want to think, you need to think broadly about your network, because that's, you know, we have an awesome community on the Hill and it's really easy to feel comfortable with that. But as you're, I mean, that was one of the reasons, you know, I wanted to do programming like the Trek, to kind of get people out of their comfort zone and just think more broadly. So again, definitely utilizing that bubble and the access to resources you have within Tufts, but really thinking broadly about, you know, your friend from high school who's going to BU or NYU in the city and their friend is doing A, B, C, and D, you know,
Right.
You're all in this together. And a lot of even career advisors I work with at other schools, we definitely, especially given how everything's been this past year and a half, are working closely to share opportunities with students. And just, you know, building a network now is so important because it is a skill that you need for the rest of your life. And especially remember not to stop networking when you land that first position or that opportunity. It's continuing to build that. So when you have these conversations, you know, they're gonna, some will generate a lot immediately, some will generate things over time, but always asking, you know, how could they direct you to others that may be able to help. And also, you know, if you see something, you know, that they're part of an initiative or their company's doing something, a nice way to follow up too is acknowledging their success on a project or something, because it's a good way to stay top of mind with people. So just remember that when it feels like you're networking and it's not necessarily generating anything immediately, it's a whole lot like gardening. You've got to plant a whole bunch of seeds, fill the soil, water it, nurture the situation, and then before you know it, you know, everything's starting to sprout up. So awesome. Well, thank you all for your time today. And again, you know, as questions come up, I'm completely here to help. And, you know, it's super easy to schedule with me and go from there. So thank you all. Have a great great afternoon, and we will talk soon. Bye now.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Ryan.
Yeah.